The night Rome came for her village, the sky turned orange. She was still a girl, barefoot, mud on her ankles, water dripping from her hands as she stood by the river. The sound reached her before the fire did. A deep, metallic thunder. Shields colliding. Men shouting in a language she didn't know. Her father looked up once. That was the last time she saw his face. He grabbed her wrist and pushed her toward the trees. "Run," he said, but the word never finished. A spear flew past them. Someone screamed. The river reflected flames instead of stars. She ran. Not far. A Roman soldier caught her hair and pulled her backward. She remembers falling, her knees scraping stone, her breath knocked out of her body. When she looked up, the village was gone, burning, screaming, dying. By morning, nothing was left. Not even her name. They tied her with other women and girls. No one spoke. Crying felt useless now. Roman soldiers walked around them, counting quietly, pointing, nodding. Not people, numbers. Someone said a word she didn't understand. Preta. She learned its meaning soon enough. Inside the Roman camp, everything familiar was taken away. Her clothes were burned. Her hair was cut short with a dull blade. Cold water was poured over her skin while soldiers laughed nearby. No one asked who she was. No one cared. A man scratched a mark onto a wooden tablet next to her. Not a name, just a number. From that moment on, she was no longer a person. She was property of the legion. Days blurred together. She cooked, cleaned, carried water until her hands cracked and bled. She learned when to keep her eyes down, learned when silence was safer than breathing. At night, she lay awake listening to Roman soldiers talk about honor, victory, and Rome's greatness. They spoke of law, but law did not reach her. There was no rule protecting what had already been declared owned. Sometimes she whispered her real name to the stars, the one her mother used when brushing her hair. She whispered it softly, afraid even the night might steal it. Over time, the sound felt strange in her mouth, like a language dying. The legion moved, and she moved with it. Forests turned into forts. Forts turned into battlefields. Battlefields turned into ash. Each march erased a little more of who she had been. New girls arrived, younger, terrified. They clung to her at night, whispering questions she had no answers for. Some of them disappeared after a few weeks. No one asked where they went. No one needed to. In Rome, missing property was only noticed if it mattered. One winter, she fell ill, too weak to stand. A soldier kicked her foot to see if she would wake up. She did. That was the only reason she lived. She tried to run once. Just once. The forest was close. Freedom felt close. But the world beyond the camp was cruel in its own way. Villagers turned her in for a handful of coins. When the soldiers dragged her back, they didn't shout. They didn't need to. Punishment was quiet and unforgettable. After that, she never tried again. Years passed. She grew thinner, older, invisible. Eventually, she was sold, not as a woman, but as worn labor. A Roman household, a kitchen, a corner of a room she was never allowed to leave. She cooked meals for people who would never know her story, washed blood from tunics after banquets, listened to laughter echo through halls built on suffering like hers. Sometimes, she caught her reflection in polished metal. She barely recognized the face. One day, she simply disappeared. No record of death, no grave, no marker. History did not write her ending, because Rome never believed she had a beginning.